Hello and welcome to the part 2 of the end of term explanation videos. I'm very much excited to continue the remaining videos for Great and Advance. I hope you all are keeping well and doing great. As your exams are nearing, try to practice plenty times, try to write and practice. And if you have any doubts, do put them in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But if you're dropping in new to this channel, let me introduce myself. First of all, warm welcome. I'm Justin D'Souza, your math teacher. This is my channel, Best Math. If you find this channel useful, please do subscribe to it, like my videos, and share it along with your friends. It would mean so much to me. And I also want to thank all those who have subscribed to my channel, all those who like and share it with your friends. Thank you so much. Now we will continue. The 11th topic. It is to find the solutions basically, where the x value is there, where we get real zeros. And then they have asked to sketch the graph. Too many words. Let me just break it down. Now imagine this is a graph, a simple graph. This is a parabola because it is opening upwards. We know it is plus x square and something like this. Okay. Now this, whenever there is x square, positive x square, it'll be something like this. Now, this is the graph. It's a brief, it is a rough graph. But what are the x values? Where do we have the real zeros? What does it mean? Now, if you see this x-axis, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. Wherever the graph touches the x-axis over here and over here, those are the solution. Those are the solution regions, the solution points. So that is what we need to find. So there are various methods to solve the exact points, but the crude approximation uses idea of where it is. Now, in your regular lessons, you might have studied all this in detail, and you can check out the playlist on the entire lessons. It's there in the same channel, Best Math. You can find the lessons which were there in your exam, for your exam, all the um, lesson objectives I explained, so you can watch the entire explanation there. Now here I will just tell you a shortcut method what you can do for your exam. So it depends on the equation. First of all, if it is a graphing, it's very simple, but sometimes they'll ask you this might be the option. So it depends on what are your options. If it's graph, it's so easy because you can directly use your calculator to find it out. Take out your calculator, take any random point. Say I will take 0. Substitute 0 over here instead of x. I'll put everywhere 0 square plus 3 into 0 minus 1. The answer is minus 1, negative 1. Look whether the graph touches minus 1. Yes. But what if 2 or 3 graphs touch the same point? Take another point. Say minus 1 now. Over here, minus 1 must give me about minus 3. Let me check. Let me put over here and over here minus 1 and last was minus 1. Yes, I'm getting minus 3 or negative 3. Similarly, try few more points and check which graph gives you the exact point. All the others will be wrong. Only one graph can give you the exact answer. So that is the graphing part, direct shortcut method. It will work for any of the graph. Now, if you want to solve the x values directly, you can use mod 5 and 3 and solve it. What is the coefficient before x square? When we go to mod 5, before pressing 3, look over here. This is the quadratic standard form. Ax square, there's nothing, so it's 1x square, plus bx, that is 3x, plus c, the constant term is minus 1. So when I press 3, I need to type this in. 1, 3, and minus 1. Now, the values are 0.30 and we have got negative 3.3. So you can see it's over here negative 3.3 and positive 0.3. So where does this lie? This lies in between negative, because now in calculator we directly get the x value, but approximation method, by the table method, we just get approximate, isn't it? Where is the 0? Wherever the sign changes, and the sign is changing at minus 4 and minus 3. You can see the sign of f of x changes over here at minus 4 and minus 3. So this is your one solution, and it is at 0 and 1. Again, you can see the sign changes over here, that is 0 and 1. That's it. That's how you solve it. So it's very straightforward. Now, even over here, if it is cubic graph is always like this. Since it's negative, it's like this. Now, before I continue, I just want to recall, if you see a parabola that's quadratic form, x square, if the x square is the highest degree, power 2 is the highest degree, and it is positive, then it will always open upwards. So you can eliminate the other graphs easily. And then do a test value, you'll definitely get the correct answer. But if it is minus x squared, then it would open downwards. It'll be like this, the graph. Now, if it is a cubic graph, x to the power 3, if it's plus x to the power 3, the right side goes up and left side goes down. It's something like this. Whereas if it is minus, you can see left side goes up, right side goes down. It is like this. Okay. Now, this is just a basic understanding. The left side is up, right side is down. There will be undulations. That is fine. Now over here, if you want to solve this directly, you can use mod, phi, and cubic equations are given by 4. Now carefully substitute the values. First one, x cube is minus 1, x squared is 2. Now there is no x term. That means it's 0 because there is no x term. And then we have minus 4 over here. Put in the find the values. It's negative 1.1. That means the x values will be at negative 2 to negative 1. Oh, sorry, wait, let me just check the other. This is the imaginary, so we ignore that. Now over here you can see minus the other one, so you can see is imaginary. There's only 1 point cutting, so minus 1.3 is over here, which is the less and greater value. So oh, sorry. Now there's one thing. This is not 0. You know, before 0 there is minus 1, minus 2. It's in between those values. Negative 1.1 is between minus 1 and minus 2. So these are the values we write. Now if you do the table method, you can see the sign changes over here. So these are the values. How do we do the table method? Again, calculator is very direct and easy. Press mod 7 is for table, and then type in the equation. Minus x is by alpha x the whole cube plus 2 alpha x square, and lastly we get minus 4. Now press equal to. There is no other equation, so leave it like that. Just press equal to. Start. Which is the starting point you want? Usually always start with negative phi, like a proper value, usually a good value, good enough to get a brief understanding of the graph. So I will write negative 5 or negative 4 is enough, and then end at say positive 4. And the step I want it as 1. I need values of negative 4, negative 3, 1, like that. See the table gives us negative 4 is 92, negative 3 is 41, negative 2 is 12. We have from negative 2. And now the sign change at f of x, wherever the sign change, there is a 0 between those 2 points. And then you can see the sign is not changing. So that's the end. 4, it's negative 36. It keeps on going. So there's only one value. That's how we solve it. Similarly, you can solve the others. It is very straightforward, very simple. Directly follow the method which I just told you, the calculator method. If you want in detail, you can find it in the channel, in the playlist. But this is the easy one. Now over here, it doesn't matter what is the equation. Mod 7 and type in the equation. Even if it's a cube or to the power 4 or 5, it doesn't matter. Just type it as it is. And then you cannot solve this directly in calculator if it is to the power 4. So do the table method and start at, okay. Anyways, now I'll just change the values. I've started at 1, but for this case, it's fine, I believe. Yes, if you start at, no, you're not getting both the answers. Let me just go back over here. The sad thing is you need to again type the equation. Minus alpha x to the power 4 minus x, that is over here, to the power 3, and lastly we have plus 4. And then you press equal to. There is no g of x, only one equation at a time, and then start the value say at minus 4 and end it at say positive 4. and the step will be 1. Now you'll get the values. See, it starts with -118, and then -50, -4, then 4. See, there's change in f of x values. That means there is a 0. Because you can see over here, whenever there is values less than 0, it will be negative, and over here it's positive, or it'll be positive, negative. So whenever there's change of sign in f of x, there is a solution point in between those two, wherever it passes. So that's how we can easily find the values. And see over here also 1 and 2 is also again mentioned. So these are the answers. Same way, please do it by yourself, check them, do it, write it by yourself, and then check for the answers. So over here, all the answers are mentioned. You can do it in directly calculator, or you can, whichever method is easy and suitable, depending on the problem, solve accordingly. So this is it over here. Now here they have just this is the correct answer. X is equal to 2, and relative maximum. Oh, sorry, one second. I just realized this is a different. Over here we were finding zeros. Now here we are finding the maximum and minimum values. If you're finding the zeros, it's just over here wherever it intersects. Whereas for the maximum and minimum, it is basically where it dips and goes up. You can see over here in this graph, the dipping point, the minimum value is between 0 to 1. Can you see this minimum value? How will you find it in the table? The table, you can just, when you find it, see over here, where is the maximum f of x value? You can see the maximum over here is at 32. And where is the minimum value? Minimum at the beginning we get is over here. But also there is one important other thing which you must know. There must be a sign change. Now here you can see there is no sign change, but it touches 0. So in this graph you will get understanding from 22. See that there was 22 over here at when -1 to 0, it directly went down, dipped. If you find a value more than this, say 1 over here, you would have got something like this. Like you would have understood there was a dip. So that's the thing. How we can find it out is if you reduce the step. In while graphing, if you reduce it to 0.5, you will understand. But just when looking at these values, you must understand it's reducing like anything. Okay. Then there is a dip and it's going up. So even if it's positive, it's fine. But from these values, you'll see there's a dip and it goes up. And then over here, there is a maximum point and then it goes down. But now what is happening? It's just keep on going down. It'll go down forever because it's the cubic graph. So you just ignore those points. And over here, it'll keep on going up. Ignore those points. Only focus points are these two. That is the first two dips. So that's it. That is how you would find it. Or you can just solve this in calculator and understand where is the solution. But that is not asked over here. Just relative minimum and maximum. That is the dipping points over here 0, 1. And over here it is at 4. Okay, is it it's 4 to 3, it's not exactly 4, it's before 4. This is the approximate range because you're estimating. That's the thing. Similarly over here, you can do it by yourself and then check for the answers. Maximum is close to 0, whereas minimum is close to 2, x value of 2. You can check it by the table as well. So that's the end of this topic. Next topic will be topic number 12. Please stay tuned. We move on to the 12th topic, that is multiplying polynomials. This is a pretty easy topic. If you know the distributive property, it is what we are doing now. When there are two binomials, we can use a FOIL method, which we will see now. FOIL means first terms, outer terms, inner terms, and last terms. Now imagine we have these two terms over here. First, you need to multiply the first two terms in these binomials. That is, this multiplied by this gives you 2x times x. Then inner terms, first and then outer. After f, o comes, that is outer. This is the outermost and this is the outermost term. So o is the next one. That is 2x times -3. Then inner ones are these two over here, very close to each other, and they are the innermost ones, 4 times x. And the last terms are, this is the last of the first binomial. last of the second binomial, 4 times negative 3. That's it. Simplify and you will get the answer. So this is the FOIL method. We will now simplify. You can use FOIL method, distributive method. It's ultimately the same thing. Your answer will be the same. Let us see how to multiply this. They have told you just multiply all these. So take any two terms. You can't just multiply all the terms at once. Take two terms at a time, the first two terms, and multiply the first these two. It'll be 3 times a plus 3 times minus 7. See, I will draw the arrows. It'll be from here to here, and then this to this. Then next one will be the second term with this, and then over here to here. That is it. That would be the answer. 3 times a, sorry, that is not the answer. That is the method to solve. 3 times a, 3 times 3a times a, 3a times minus 7. Don't forget the sign. 5 times a, that will be 5a, and 5 times negative 7. Now you need to just simplify. A times a is a squared. This becomes 3a squared. 7 times 3 is 21. Negative sign prevails. A will remain. 5a minus 7 times 5 is 35. Then now you can simplify this term, the a and a. So it'll be negative 21 plus 5, that is negative 16. So this is the answer. But this is the answer for these two terms. Don't forget the other term. Bring it down and multiply the remaining terms now. Now it's up to you, but generally when you multiply, if the terms are less on the left side, it's easier because we just do the arrows like this. Now if you're multiplying from the left side, it's fine, but it's better to solve this easily. If you follow this method, it'll be easier. Now it'll be 4 times 3a squared, 4a times negative 16a, 4a times negative 35. Same with 1, 1 times 3a squared, 1 times negative 16a, and lastly, it is 1 times negative 35. Then you have to multiply this individually. What do I mean by that? It means you need to multiply this numbers together and terms together, separately. That's what I meant. 4 times a is 12, a times a squared is a cube. This minus sign will come out. It'll be 4 times 16 is 64, a times a is a squared. Then again minus sign is there, 140 because 35 2 times is 70, 70 2 times is 140, so it'll be 4 times 35, 4 times is 140, a 3a square, negative 16a, and lastly minus 35. Now you can simplify it. Now you need to add or subtract the terms. How do you do it? See for the degrees. Now, do you have any other term with this degree of power 3? No. But there is two. See, these are the two terms that can be solved together. And then over here, these are the two terms that can be solved together. So you need to simplify those terms. How do we do? It's very simple. Minus 64a squared plus 3 will be minus 61a squared. Same way, minus 140 minus 16, add them and write the negative sign, minus 156a. Other two terms remain same. This is the simplified form. Now, if anyone asks you to multiply this, this is how you get it. That's it. That's the most simplified form. And now it's up to you. Pause the video now, right now, and try these by yourself. These are simple, easy. Now we did one of the most complicated one, the 3 terms. So if it's 2 terms, it's very simple. We know how to do it. Now say for example here, multiply this over here, then this over here. That is it. So same method, please follow it and solve it up. Over here it's simple because there's only 2 terms and 1 term over here. So you don't have to do FOIL and all. It's just multiply this inside. 2 times distributive property, it'll be 3p squared n or np squared minus 3pz. That's it. That's the answer. Whereas over here also it's the same thing. It's very simple. Here also it's very simple. All single terms. Now here what do we do? This 17th one. Use the identity. I will write the identity. It's a plus b the whole square. I'll write this first. And you have a minus b the whole square. So it is a squared plus 2 times ab, 2ab plus b squared. So this is the term. for plus. Whereas if it's minus, the only thing is the middle part changes to negative. That's the only difference. Then all the terms are same. So now over here you have, sorry, this is 2, okay? I hope you understand it. Now, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, a squared minus, because of this minus, it's minus 2ab plus b squared. This is it. Now, you need to apply this formula over here. We don't have a and b, we have a and minus 5. So, a minus 5 over here, the whole squared. Now, how do we solve it is, just over here, wherever there is a, you need to write a itself, and wherever there is b, you need to write minus 5. Sorry, just 5. Because this minus sign is taken care of. B is 5, so you need to multiply this by 5 plus 5 squared. So it goes out to be a squared minus 5 times 2 is 10a, and here it will be 25, last term. So that is the answer. A squared minus 5 times 2 is 10, and a remains, plus 5 squared is 25. This is the answer. So these identities are crucial and important. So please remember these identities. Now, over here, all the other way, it's the same thing. Just multiply using FOIL method or distributive property. You're going to get the answers just like this. So please do solve them first and then check for the answers. Do the methods, do the steps, because there is no shortcut method. There is no calculator method. You have to solve them by yourselves. There is few more problems over here. The same way to solve, very straightforward. But there's one thing I want to point out over here. That is this particular problem. It is r minus 2t, r plus 2t. There is an identity that is a plus b, a minus b. So whenever you come across this particular identity or terms like this, where you can see the same term in the first terms of two binomials, that is a and a, and the second term is also same, 2t and 2t, but the sign varies. It can be either minus and plus or minus. Then you must make sure you do this as this particular formula. It is a squared minus b squared, or you can multiply this and then ultimately you will come to this formula itself. So this is not that important, because even if you multiply this, ultimately you're leading into this, so it's fine. But it's very easy to write this. It's r squared minus 2t the whole square. It will be 2t the whole square. That is basically r square minus 4t square. That would be your answer. See over here, that's the answer. Similarly, you can try the others. Now, it's very straightforward over here, but let me just do this first terms. When you multiply, it will be x cubed multiplied by 2x squared. Okay, 2 to the power 2. I hope you know this by now, and then all the other terms, right? But what is going to happen when you multiply? It's going to be 2, the constant. The powers are always added up. That means x cubed multiplied by x squared will be 3 plus 2, that is 5. You don't multiply the powers, you add the powers. So this is going to be x to the power 5. Now, whenever you have x2 and x5 over here, it's going to be x to the power 10. You're going to multiply, sorry. I just now told this and I only made the mistake. I'm so sorry for that. You add the powers, you don't multiply the powers. It's 7. I hope this is clear. Don't make the mistake I just now did. It's 5 plus 2, that is 7. Similarly, if you have, say, x or any other variable, it must be same like variables. Now 3 over here and 3 over here. You just add it up. It is going to be x to the power 6. So if you know this knowledge, you can easily solve all the problems. Do solve it by yourselves. See, just that over here, it's big. You need to multiply many terms. It'll just take time, but it's very simple. Solve it by yourselves and then verify the answers. So that is basically the end of that topic. Next, we will move on to the 13th topic. Now we move on to the 13th topic. It is among the easiest of all in the part 1. It is just to add or subtract polynomials. So now there are plenty of ways to do it. Now this is the horizontal method. Horizontal method is just adding them directly, looking at the like terms. This is the most likely used method, so it's better to follow this. It'll help you in the other type of problems, say subtracting or multiplying and other things. Now here, you need to look into the like terms. So the step one would be group like terms in descending order. That means which is the highest degree over here? Power 3. So group the power 3 terms, then power 2 terms, then power 1, and then lastly the constants or the numbers. Now 6 plus 1 x cube. 6x cube plus 1 x cube is, just solving it, 7x cubed. 7 minus 4 is 3, positive 3. Then 2 minus 2 minus 8, it's minus 10x. And lastly, 5 plus 1 is 6. Similarly, you can add them vertically. When it's adding, it's fine. You just add them and get the answer. But when you're subtracting, you need to change the sign and everything. So horizontal method is more likely to be used. Let us see a subtraction problem. Here, you need to make sure that you multiply this minus sign throughout and remove the brackets. So it's going to be this terms as it is, but here this minus sign, distributive property, right? Minus sign is multiplied throughout and all the sign changes for the second term. It become minus 5x to the power 4 minus 9x cube plus minus minus will become plus 3x, and lastly we have minus 4. And now just find the like terms and add them up just like what we had done. So it'll be 2x to the power 5. There's no other x to the power 5 term, so it's just alone. And then x to the power 4 and 4 over here will be grouped. 3, and there is no x to the power 2. There is no square terms, so that's not there. 7x plus 3x, and lastly the numbers minus 8 and minus 4. Solve them by just adding them. This is as it is. Over here you need to, 11 minus 5 is 6, minus 9x cubed, 7 plus 3 is 10, and lastly it's negative 12. That's it. So this is among the easiest of all in the part 2. So please do solve these by yourselves. Go through them, solve them. It's very simple. Just over here directly you can solve the answer, but minus sign over here. So 6 minus 4 will be 2, a square, and then 5 minus 6, it'll be minus 1a, and lastly it is minus 12 plus 10 is minus 2. Same way, do the others, solve them, write and solve, and then check the answers. There is no calculator method. You need to do this method and you need to solve them. These are the answers. The next topic, that is the 14th topic, is on factor theorem. You have been given a term. We need to show that this is a factor of this particular term. Then find the remaining factors. So how this method goes is by division. So first, for now, I will tell you the division method because this method is very important. It is there in writing. You have to study it. So I will tell you the actual method. Then I'll tell you a shortcut at the end as well. Now here you have this particular factor, which is supposed to be a factor of this. Now what does factor mean? Now imagine the number 42. Now 42, 6 sevens are 42. So I know 6 into 7 is 42. That means both 6 and 7 are factors of 42. When I multiply them, I'm going to get 42. Similarly, now I know this term, instead of 42, this is the term, big term. I know there is one number, that is 6 plus 8. And there are another one factor. Which is that factor? That is what we will have to solve. Which do you have to multiply to get this term? There might be two factors as well. So instead of 6, I can write 3 into 2 into 7, 3 terms as well. So you can split this again and have 3 terms as well. So we will see this now. Okay, I forgot to tell you one more concept. So now over here, how do I find if I know 6 already? I can just divide 42 by 6 and you will get 7. You will get the remaining factor, isn't it? That is what we will do. We will divide this by x plus 8 and we will get it. We will use synthetic division instead of the long division because it's much quicker. So in synthetic division, whatever is the value, you need to take the opposite sign of x. Basically, what is x plus 8? We need equated to 0. So x is equal to minus 8. So take that minus 8 value over here and divide. We don't put the variables, just the coefficients. we have to write 2, 15, minus 11, and minus 24. The step 1 is bringing this down over here as it is. 2 comes down. Then once this is down, all you need to do is multiply it with negative 8 and then write it over here. So multiply 2 times negative 8, it's negative 16. Write it over here. Now you need to change the sign. Oh, sorry, not change the sign. It is add. Just add them up. Okay. So what happens? Minus 16 plus 15 is minus 1. Now same procedure repeats. You need to keep on doing this. This multiplied by this. Write it over here. Add it up. And same thing goes again. So minus 1 times minus 8 is 8. Add them up, it'll be minus 3. Write it over here. And then it goes over here. Negative 24. Negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24. Add them up, you'll have 0. Now, how do you find it's a factor? Whenever the remainder is 0, it is a factor. If the remainder was something, then no, it is not a factor. Now, 42 divided by 6 is equal to 7. Okay, this is a factor of 42. But what about 42 divided by 5? It'll be 8.4. When you have decimal, no, it's not a factor. It's if it was 40, then yes, it was a factor, but that's how we understand. You should not have remainders. So when remainder is there, you get the decimal, right? So over here, there is no remainder. The last part is the remainder, that's 0. So that means because the remainder is 0, this is yes, a factor. And then what is the answer? Over here, we got this will be the constant term. Last one is remainder, gone, constant, x square. If there was one more term over here, it'd be x cube and so on. So this is the factor. So now you can write them as like this. So that is it. So basically that is your answer. Now you can simplify this further as well. The second part, over here, this factor. So now over here, this can be reduced into this. Now how they are doing is basically splitting the term in the middle and taking common out. Now you have 2x squared minus x minus 3. Now this is a bit tricky method. Basically, you need to split this x in such a way that look at these two constants at the constants at the end over here. Multiply them. What is the answer? It is 6. Now, and what is this term over here? It is minus 1. So you need to get two numbers. When you multiply, you need to get 6, and when you add them, it's minus 1. So if you're solving this, that is the way. You need to keep trying the numbers. You can easily understand it's 3 and 2. So over here it is minus 6. My bad. It's minus 6. Minus 3 times 2 is minus 6. So you can do this minus 3 times 2. So minus 3 times 2 is minus 6, and you get negative 1. So the factors to change this is 2x squared minus 2x. And then you can write, sorry, it's plus 2x, or you can write minus 3. It doesn't matter much. It'll be the same answer. Now you need to remove the common terms. What is the common terms? 2x is common over here. So you can remove 2x, and x is remaining plus 1. Minus 3 is common. You will have x plus 1. Basically, now your one factor is x plus 1, and the other factor is the outside terms. Because you can remove this again common out, you will get 2x minus 3. So this is how this step is involved. But I'm sure this is much confusing and irritating. But I'll tell you another shortcut method for this, the calculator method as usual. So now over here, you need to press mod, phi, and 3. And here, put in the coefficients. It's 2, minus 1, and minus 3, isn't it? What is the answer you get? You get x is equal to 3 by 2. And then what is another answer? X is equal to minus 1. Now bring this inside. That's very easy. X plus 1. This is a factor. You have to bring it inside the equal to. But what will happen if you bring over here? It'll be negative 3 by 2. But instead of that, you take this 2 to the other side first. Don't just get inside. First, make this division to multiplication. When you get this inside, it'll be 2x is equal to 3. And now bring this inside. It's going to be 2x minus 3. So this is another way to get the factors. So this is the easier method, but just be careful because it's a factor. You need to first bring the 2, it'll be multiplication 2x and then minus 3. So you will get it easily in calculator. So now let me recall from where to where. First thing, divide, you will get this factor. That is the answer. Over here, whatever you got, x square and x over here, this is the answer. And this was the factor because the remainder was 0. But now if this is not there in the options, then that means this needs to be simplified further. And then you will get the answer. So this is the thing. But now I will show you some more shortcuts if you don't want to do this division. So basically over here, these are the factors. Try them by yourself, but there's one more shortcut method. Now you will have 4 options, isn't it? You will have 4 options with you. So what you can do is, it's a long method. So that's why, it's better to do division. You will save time. Why this is the long method means you need to solve all the 4 options. Basically, this will be your option, some other 4 options, right? Solve them up. What is this? This is basically x minus 1 in, let me write it properly. It is basically, I'll just write it over here, x minus 1 2 times. Okay, x minus 1. You can use the FOIL method or you can use the a minus b the whole square formula. It's up to you. You can multiply this like this, or I'll just use the a minus b the whole square formula. It'll be a square minus 2ab, that is 2x, plus b squared, that is 1. So this will be the answer. Now, what I need to do is, whatever the factor is given, this is the factor they have told, right? Needs to be multiplied to this. So I will just multiply. So multiply over here, over here, over here. So it'll be x cubed minus 2x squared plus x plus 2x squared again, because over here now multiplying 2 inside, and then we have minus 4x lastly plus 2. Now here minus 2x squared plus 2x squared cancels. You're remaining with x cubed, and then you have plus x and minus 4x. How much is it? Minus 3x. And lastly, you're remaining with plus 2. Now this must be the question, and it should be. If this is the question, yes, that's the correct answer. Otherwise, that is wrong. So now here, basically, whatever you see can be matched. The problem with this method is you will have 4 options, right? You need to do the multiplication for all the 4 and then check the correct answer. So it takes time. If you're quick in multiplication, do that. But now, for example, over here, now simple, okay, over here, there is so many terms, right? So you need to first multiply these 2 terms, and then with this given factor, you will get the answer. But if you have the answer with you, then it's easy because we know this is the correct answer, so I'm directly going with this. Otherwise, it's a guessing game. You need to start solving the 4 options and then you will reach to the correct answer. So this is the method, shortcut method. I mean, it's not shortcut, it's long itself. But the best way is to do the, now over here also, what you can do is you can factor it out and you will get this, right? And then you will have much better understanding of the factors. If you're multiplying these two, you'll get this. So what I'm trying to say is, if you do the division and you get a complicated term, then it's fine. Just solve all the answers and match with this. That will be your answer. If all of these is being just confusing, then you will have to do the synthetic division. Try to study the synthetic division method because you have to do it in the writing part. So do the synthetic division, find the answer, and factor it out as simplified as possible, and that would be your answers. So this is the given term, and these two are the found out term. So this, and this are the factors of this particular question. And if you multiply all the 3 factors, you will get the main term. That's the question. So that's how you solve this. Please try more problems and then check the answers over here. The 15th topic is an interesting topic where we have been given the zeros, and then we need to see which is the polynomial function, the least polynomial function. So there are plenty of ways to do this. Now, one thing is, if this is 0, that is x is equal to 5, you can take it inside. The factor would be x minus 5. Then x plus 2. and x plus 1. And we have done multiplication, binomial multiplication, multiply this. So what is it going to be? It'll be x squared plus 2x, x squared plus 2x minus 5x minus 10, and this needs to be simplified and multiplied with the next term. It'll be x squared minus 3x minus 10, and I will multiply the other term over here, x plus 1. So again it'll be x cubed this time, because you add the powers 2 plus 1, it'll be x cubed plus x squared minus 3x squared minus 3x minus 10x minus 10. Now you need to simplify it further. That is x cubed minus 2x squared. Then you have minus 13x minus 10. So this would be the answer over here. You can see that is the answer. So that is the thing. You can try it out everywhere, but now there is a problem with this I, because that is imaginary solutions, isn't it? So this is the general method. Now there is a similar method can be done everywhere, but I will tell you other methods as well. Now take out your calculator. If you go to mode 5 4, you can solve this. Let's solve that. 1 minus 2 minus 13 and minus 10. What is the answer? The answer is 5 minus 1 and minus 2. That is the question. So that is one way you can solve all the four options and you will get it. Now one more thing you need to understand is, if there are three zeros, exactly three zeros, that means the graph is something like this. And this is 1 0, one more 0, one more 0. This is the cubic solution. Now whenever you see 3, it means it is x cubed. That will be the answer. So you can easily eliminate all the other options without x cubed. So now in this you will have four options. I'm sure 2 will be x cubed and 2 will be maybe x to the power 2 or something else. Eliminate all those other, because this must be x to the power 3. But what happens when this x to the 2i comes? I means imaginary, and they are always in pair. They have not mentioned this over here, that's imaginary is mentioned, but they are always in pair. So if you have 2i, there must be minus 2i as well as a solution. But sadly, we cannot use direct calculator method and stuff. But what you can do is you can easily eliminate the other options and then find the correct answer. So one of the method to solve this is factoring this one. Okay, you can factor this one out. So that would mean basically you have to factor it. Um, just now whatever we learned, but that's a long method, so you can ignore that. But over here you will have four options. You need to understand one, two. There are two roots over here because of I. So your first coefficient will be having the degree. Sorry, the first term will have the degree of x to the power 4. That is one way to reduce the options. But what if there are two problems, two questions, two answers with the same thing? You need to solve this. So for this, you can't use the direct method, like directly solving this or anything. You have to use the normal method. Now let's see this. It is x plus 1, that is one of the solution. X plus 1, just like what we had done at the beginning. Again, x plus 1. And then what about this? It will be, it is x is equal to 2i. Bring it inside, it's going to be minus 2i, okay? Oh, sorry. Let me just write it. So one of the root will be x minus 2i. And remember, they are always conjugates, so you should have x plus 2i as well. Now, whenever this is standard, it won't change. Whenever you see I, it's just not I, there is one more root minus I as well, because they come in two pairs. Okay, so now this is 3 plus 2i, 3 minus 3 plus I, 3 minus I. So now you need to take this in and then simplify. Now back over here. So this is the thing. Over here, you need to simplify this. How would you simplify is basically you just can multiply how we do the normal multiplication. That's the thing. But since I know a plus b, a minus b, I can use the identity. But if you're getting confused, don't worry. Over here, a plus b, sorry, x plus 1, x plus 1, I can write it as x plus 1 the whole square. And now over here, if you have this term, after bringing it in, it would be confusing, right? So I will show you the multiplication, x to x. So it'll be x square over here, then plus 2ix, then this one minus 2ix, and lastly we have plus 4i squared. Always these middle term gets cancelled, and what is remaining? 4i. Now if you recall the last term, we had learned I is square root of -1 and I square is equal to -1. Okay, so now here we need to write that it'll be x square. This I square is -1, so plus 4 into -1. Basically, we are getting x square minus 4. So this is how we get this. Every time you see this, you have to take it to the other side, do this multiplication, and you got this. Here, what do we have? Simplify this as much as possible. It'll be x square plus 2x plus 1. If you expand this, or you can multiply over here, you will get this answer. It's not over. Now, whatever I encircle, this is one term and this is also remaining. Both needs to be multiplied, right? Basically, what did we do? We had multiplied all, isn't it? I mean, it's polynomial multiplication, but it's just many terms. That's the only thing. Now, you need to multiply these two terms. What's going to happen? X square times x square will be x to the power 4. Then you need to multiply minus 4x square. I'm just doing the distributive property, plus 2x cube. Then we have minus 8x plus x square minus 4. Let's simplify this. X square, x to the power 4 is alone. What about x cube? That is also alone, so plus 2x cube. Now over here we have okay, I have, yes, correct. 1 second, I have done, yeah, okay. Now over here, what do I have? Minus 4x square, and over here there is 1x square. Let me just 1 minute. I've got an error somewhere over here. So I realize I have done one mistake over here, guys. So when I had multiplied over here, the reason is I understood the answer I'm getting over here is 3. That is wrong. Over here it should be 5. Now I realize my mistake. When I multiplied minus and plus 2, I have written plus 4. It should be minus 4. That is the mistake I have done. So I will correct it. It is minus 4. This will be here minus, and now minus and minus becomes plus. So basically when I multiplied this over here, x square, x to the power 4, and plus x to the power 4. So that was my mistake. I hope you understand the mistake what I did. Now over here we have 4x squared plus x squared, so it is plus 5x squared. It's also cramped up, I'm sorry for that. Then now what do we do is last terms remaining. This again I have done an error, because when I was multiplying 2 into 4 I wrote minus, it should be plus. Now I'm writing it correctly, it's plus 8x, and lastly we are remaining with, this is also plus 4. So that is the answer we are getting. Okay, if that's confusing, I'll do one more last one. How about this one? So over here it's x is 0, so it'll be just x. Okay, it'll be only x, and then these are the thing over here. It looks more complicated, so I'll do this last one over here. So what do you do is x plus 2, just change the sign, x plus 3, then we have x minus 4 plus 3i. Last term would be x minus x, bring it to the minus 4 minus 3i, because only the I part changes its sign. Okay, so many terms, but don't worry, they're just the same. Over here now, you need to multiply. Over here, it'll be x squared, two terms at a time, okay? X squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 6. And when you simplify this, you're going to get x squared plus 5x plus 6. Next, this is over. This is the first two terms. Let me do these two terms over here. Let me just change the color. Now, x times x is x squared. It's like three terms are there. You have to do distributive property. Minus 4x minus 3 times 4 is 2. Minus 3 x and I is there. Okay, so now I have multiplied x throughout over here. So only the thing is, everywhere x has been multiplied. That is over. I mean, now you need to keep multiplying minus 4 everywhere. It'll be again minus times minus 4 times x is minus 4x plus 16. And lastly, we have minus times plus is 12 plus 12i. And lastly, we have to multiply 3i again. So when I multiply 3 over here, it's going to be plus 3xi. It always cancels. See, now this and this cancels, right? What is remaining? It'll be minus 12i. Even that will cancel. Minus 12i with plus 12i, it cancels. And last term is, I'll write it down over here, it'll be minus 9i squared. Since plus and minus, it'll be minus. Now, simplify what is remaining. It's x squared minus 4 plus minus 4, it'll be minus 8x. And then the 16 is remaining, so plus 16. And what about this? I and I is I squared. That is minus 1. Minus times minus, it'll be plus 9. So this is the answer. And now when you simplify, you will get x squared minus 8x plus 16 plus 9 is 25. Now ultimately you have to multiply these both and you will get the answer. Let us do this anyways, but I hope you have understood now. It's just the multiplication. I won't do all the multiplication, but I'll just tell you it'll be x4 is the leading term. Then over here you need to multiply this. It'll be x cubed. It'll be um, okay, it's just distributive property. You guys try this. Just multiply this term over here, just like what we have done, and then you will get a huge thing. Simplify it, you will get this, the last answer. It'll be starting with x to the power 4. So that would be the thing. So please try it by yourself. It is just polynomial multiplication. That is what we can do. The main concept over here is that this one over here, these are the zeros. So that means you will have x of opposite sign, x plus 2, x plus 3, and so on. There are other methods as well, but since you know polynomial multiplication, the multiplication is the easiest way to go through. So now if you have graphing calculator and all, then you can easily graph this out. So over here, uh, to graph these directly, it is a bit hard because you need a graphing calculator. Otherwise, there's no other method. If your graphing calculator, yes, it's possible. With all these roots, automatically you will get the exact graph. And from that graph, you can get this equation. But sadly, if you don't have the graphing calculator, the method which I just now told is the only method. So that is the thing. You can understand these are the roots. And if it's imaginary, that means it's somewhere it's not going to touch. Okay, so that's how it is. Sorry, that's how it is for these. Now same way you can try these as well. Now over here they have asked for graphing. We know how to graph. Take any x value, just put it in this equation and solve. You will get the answer. We have done this before. So now to try, you need to use the calculator method. Let's do a problem. Let's do this one. We can see the graphs. You need to take out your calculator, and let's say these both are this is the equation. You have four options. These both are similar. They are the cubic equations. So let's compare how do we find it. You need to assume any point. Always start with 0 because it's the easiest value. So if you're solving for this equation, wherever there is 4, wherever there is x, sorry, put 0. and just change it to cube. Why I'm using the brackets already is, though I know it's 0, it's going to be 0. It'll be easy for me to change the values later on. So multiplied by 0 to the power squared minus 4 into 0. Brackets because I might use negative values and positive values. That's the reason I have to put multiplication over here. Now what is the answer? For x value of 0 over here, you're going to get minus 2. Yes, that's absolutely right. Over here, you can see it's wrong. Maybe this graph had minus 2. Maybe two graphs at the same point. What do? Just change the value. Say I'll put 1 now. Change all the x values to 1. It's good if you put brackets, you'll easily understand that is the value you need to change. It's easy to, it'll tell you, okay, this is the value to change. That's it. Now done. Press equal, it's 0. Now imagine even over here it was same, try few other points. You will definitely get only one graph which matches the exact equation. So that is how we do it. Now the first part where we saw really required graphing calculator, but I told you method by polynomial multiplication. So follow that even for imaginary numbers or for non real numbers, it is going to work. The next one is just graphing. So it's very, very straightforward. Otherwise, you can also do this, since it's in cubic form, you can do mod phi 4 and then solve it. I'll do the coefficient for this. 1 minus phi minus 224. So what will I get? I'll get minus 2 is x equals minus 2. Yes, that's true, absolutely. 4, yes again, and 3, absolutely true. So those are the answers. Now you can check this one. 4, 2, it's minus 4, and lastly we have minus 2. What about these? 1, yes, true. 1, it's negative half, yes, negative 0.5, and negative 1. That's the correct answers. That's another way to do it. So one thing to remember, sometimes there might be imaginary numbers. That means over here it'll come like this, but then it, sorry, let me show. Over here, imagine this was the graph. It crossed, but it doesn't touch, it'll just go up. So there is a dip, but only one real solution, then there will be two imaginary solutions. So that is the thing. And always remember, imaginary solutions will be in pairs. There will be 2. Imagine you got 2 plus I, it'll be 2 minus I. They'll be in conjugates. Similarly, you can try these. Now, sadly, you can't solve these in calculator. So do the shortcut method, which I told you. Directly assume values of x and then solve. Now, over here, consider x to be 0. All these cancels. It should be minus 12. Yes, it is minus 12. Similarly, over here, it should be minus 8 as the starting. Yes, it is negative 8, isn't it? Yes, this is the graph. Yes, it is minus 8. Yes, over here. So that is how we can easily solve it. So I hope this is clear. Please do try solving more problems, especially the first part, the first bit of this. This is not so easy, I know. The only way is solving more and more problems and being thorough with this. I square means it's minus 1. So whenever you get I square, it'll be minus 1. All the others will be cancelled. And so then ultimately you can solve it. So that's the end of the topic 15. Please stay tuned for the next topic. It'll be posted shortly as soon as possible. The topic number 16 is on composition of functions. Let us look into it. Imagine you have got numbers like this. Not numbers, sorry, coordinates for function f of x and g of x. And they have asked you to find, what is this? F of g of x and g of f of x. What this means is they're composed of each other. The functions are composed of each other. Now, these are called composed functions, and we need to state their domain and range. So if there is coordinates, it's a different method, and if there is an equation, it's different method. We will look into both of them now. If there is, say table, say the coordinates are given. Your first job, now you need to see which you're finding. First, now we will find f of g of x. Okay, we are composing f the function g of x inside f of x. So write these coordinates in table form. What I mean is, make x and y values. You know which is x. The first is x, this is y. Write them. 3 minus 2. This is minus 1, minus 5, 4 and 7. And this is 10, comma 8. I apologize for the full stop. It's comma. And now you have got the first table table for the function f of x. Now write the other one, g of x, same way, 4, 3, 2, minus 1, 9, 4, and 3, comma 10. So we got both of these in table. Why do we do it in table is it's much easier now to understand. Once you understand thoroughly, you do not need to use this. So for now, what we do is we have to understand what this f of g of x means. It means the function g of x is composed inside f of x. Now, what is this basically? F of x. If I have, say, f of 3, then what is the f of 3 value? What is the y value? The answer is minus 2. Now, f of minus 1 is minus 5. But now we are not dealing with x, not these numbers. We are dealing with a function altogether. Instead of this x, we have g of x. We have another function. So it is called composed function. Now, first thing is you need to understand this table, g of x table. Now here they have not specified x values. They have given this table. So all these x values must be considered. That is a very bad oval. Okay. I don't know why it's happening. Okay, anyways. So we will have to look into these values first. What do I mean is g of x, right? See what is g of 4. 4 value is 3. So instead, see now I'll show you. Over here, when we substitute 4 instead of x, we are going to get the answer 3, right? This g of 4 value is 3. So we write function g of 4 value is 3, so function of 3. Now, do we have a function of 3? It will not happen all the time. We should see whether do we have it or no. F of 3, yes. What is the value? It's minus 2, right? So yes, it is there. It is minus 2. So this is your final answer. Same way for the next thing. F of g of 2 now. Let us see what is the answer. It will be f of minus 1. Now, what is the f of minus 1 value? It is minus 5. So that is the answer. Same way over here. F of 9, g of 9. That is 4, so it will be function of 4. And then what is the function of 4 value? It is 7. Again, remember we are composing g of x inside f of x. So what do we do is we have to see the x value first over here. All the x values of the g must be considered. That is 4, 2, 9 and 3. Now when we write it as f of g, instead of x we put 3. What is this simplification? G of 3 is the answer y, that is 10. So this entire thing becomes 10. So now what is the function of 10? We have to see in this table over here it is 8. So this entire thing changes to be 8. So these are the values. So f of g of x basically answers we got as minus 2, minus 5, 7, 8. These are the y values. Y is generally what we are looking for. X is the input variable, right? This is the output values. But what is the domain? Is it this value or is it this value? Now, is it these values 3 minus 1 or is it these values? Now you must understand the x value initially we started was 4. We put this x value of g function 4 and then we solve for f of 3 and then everything, right? So it is not 3, it is this initial value which you consider. Now we start with this table, then find this value, then check whether these are there over here, and then finally we get this table. So this x value is the input, that is the domain. 4, 2, 9 and 3. The final range is minus 2, minus 5, 7 and 8. So this is how we solve this. So the domain is 4, 2, 4293, anyhow we can write it, or generally it's written in ascending order, but sorry, my bad, I've not written it in ascending order, neither in proper descending order, and it's jumbled. So ultimately these are the values, that's what I mean to say, and the range is all the y values, -2, -5, 7 and 8. So this is how we solve this. We will look into another type, another same type, but another problem. Over here again we have to find the same values compositions, but note here they are asking for g f, sorry, it should be g of x. Okay, my bad. It is this thing we are solving for. It is the function f of x is composed inside g of x. So this is what it means. Okay, now there must be two brackets because I opened one, open two, and I had to close two. Now over here, first table will be g of x, next table will be f of x. And now let us look the same thing what we did a while ago. So take this input value of f of x now, whatever is inside the composed function. So this is the inside function, right? You need to start their x values. So that will be 3, start with x3. Now what is the value of f of -2? Sorry, f of 3 is y equals -2. Sorry, it's getting confused because this is f, g, but I hope you understand. Look at the question. Whichever is outside will be last. This is last. First we need to deal with the inside function, whatever is, the second function, that is the composed function, that is over here f of x. So these are the domain values. Sorry, wait, we'll come to that domain and range in a while, but these are the input values. Let us put f of 3, the value is -2. Now you must go over here. Okay, I am just realizing that I have done plenty of mistakes in this. I will edit it and I will. So now this is all like, it's all g over here. It's supposed to be g. Now if you look over here, when you put the function f of 3, what was the answer you got? -2, right? So now you need to find this f of 3 was -2, so g of -2. Look over here, what is g of -2? Is there x value of -2? No, it is not there. It's wrong. Same way, check whether you have f of -1. F of -1 is, this will be there because you're choosing from here, function f of x function. What is the value? It should be g of -5. Whether there is a -5 value? No. F of 4 is 7. Is there a 7 over here in the g of x? No. Even for 10 we get 8? No. So there is literally all the values over here are null set. So therefore there is no domain, there is no range. Why? Because all the values which we considered over here, as you can see, x values has the y, but none of these matches with the x values of g of x table. So that means it's all null set. It is not possible. These are not composed. So what we have to tell is, this, yes, composition exists. We did it a while ago. When we saw in the previous slide over here, we got, see, g of 4, when we solved, it was 3, and there was f of 3. F of 3 was -2. So we got the answers. But here, g of f of x does not exist. Okay? And the domain and range are null sets. That is the answer. Now we can look over here. See, it might be only one value might exist. Let's just do this quickly. F of g. Now function f composed of g of x inside it. Okay. So first, let us see the x value of g. It is 4. What is the answer for 4? Okay, now check whether the x values over here have -4. So you can just write like this. I'm not making the table. I'm trying to do it directly. So g of x, right? G of 4 is -4. Now we should see whether f function has x value of -4. No. So this does not exist. -2, same way. When x -2, answer will be -1. Whether there is -1 over here? No. When it is -4, what is the answer? When we put -4 here, it will be 0. Now, see over here, f of g of -4 means g of -4 is 0. So f of 0. But do we have f of 0 value? Yes, we have. What is the answer? 4. So this exists. Whereas last one, let's check. F of 6 is minus 5. There is no minus 5. So over here, what happened when we did this composition of f of g? We got the input. The input was this. We selected. The answer was 2. And this does not exist. So the domain x value and the range y value. Range is the final answer. Yes, we got 4. But what was the domain we considered? It is minus 4. So this is the only one answer for f of g of x. So you can see over here, the first one, f of g. That means this whole means the composition of f of g. Okay, so over here we got minus 4 and 4. So what is the domain? Domain is the x value. It is only minus 4. Range is the y value. It is only one value. That's it. Now if we compose the other way around, g of f of x, if we compose g of f of x, look over here, then so many values are there. Let's just do a couple. 4. Now this one is the one. Minus 8. F of x is minus 8. What is the answer? Minus 4. Let's see whether there is minus 4. Yes, this will be when you consider minus 8. Um, when you consider minus 8 as x, that is the domain. What is the y value? Minus 4, it was 0. So minus 8 comma 0 will be the answer. See, you can see the answer. Now similarly, let's see 0 and 4, right? So whether there is 4, yes, when it is 0, you will get the answer negative 4. So it is minus 4. Similarly, 2 and 6, 6 and 5, yes, absolutely. So it will be minus, 2. It is a little tricky. You need to concentrate a lot. 2 comma minus 5 will be the answer, because 2 over here will be 6. 6 over here is the answer, minus 5. So why? These are the range. These are the domain. You can see minus 8, 6, minus 6, which we did not do, the last one, and 0 and 2 are the domains. We did not do all. We did 3. There is one more, that is minus 6 is the domain. And what will be the range? Minus 2 is minus 1. So these are all the answers. So range will be 0, minus 1, minus 4, minus 5. So that is how we can get it. Even without the table, you can do it. The table was mainly done for understanding. This is how we solve this type of problems. This is mainly when the coordinates are given. I hope you're clear with this. The domain means the x values, the range means the y values, but very important thing. If it is function f of g of x. So what happens is the domain will be whatever x values of g. So the function f of g of x, right? The domain is all the x values of g, but provided they must exist. Now g x 6 minus 12 0 5. Now over here these do not exist, so we are not considering. Only 6 exists. 6 and 8, 8 is 12. So that is the answer. Now that is the domain, that is x values of g, whereas range will be all the final answer, that is the y values of f, provided they exist. Now here only 8 exists, these all does not exist. So it will be 6 and 12 will be the answer for the first composition. Similarly, you have to do g of f of x, and you can do the other ones. So please be careful over here, be thorough, and you can solve this. This is about the composition having, provided they have given the coordinates. Now then we will see what if the equations are given. Let us look into it now. The second type of the problem for composition functions will be with equations. You can see over here they have told you to find the composition f of g of x and g of f of x. First of all, if they exist, and then we need to state the domain and range. Few basic properties must be known, but let's solve the problem first and then I'll tell you the other things. The most important thing is understanding the composition, which we have done just a while ago. Here, f of g of x, right? What you need to do is you need to understand that g of x will be composed inside of the function f. You need to know how to write it. The second term will always be inside. So the function f depends on what is the value of g of x. Now, what is the given values? G of x is given as what? X minus 6, right? That means f of g of x means what? All you need to do is, instead of g of x, write the function of g of x. Are you getting it? Now, basically what we are doing, f of g of x is there. Now, you need to know what is the g of x value. It is x minus 6. You're substituting inside. If it was f of x and x was 3, we would write it as f of 3. But now, f of x is not. The g of x is there. It is fine. What is the g of x value? If it was 3, we would have written 3. But here, in this case, we have x minus 6 as g of x. So all we do is, instead of this part, we write x minus 6. That is it. So this is how we get f of x minus 6. Now then, what would be the value of f of x? Now, oh, sorry, not what would be what is the value given to us as f of x? F of x is x squared plus 2, right? But here, look, here all you need to change is, instead of x, we have x minus 6. So, because f of x is what, basically g of x, right? And what is f of g of x? It is, all you need to do is, instead of this x value, substitute the g of x value. Here, instead, just focus on these two things now. Only these two. Here, x squared plus 2 is there. That is the function of x. But we have f of g of x, right? What is the g of x value? It is x minus 6. You can see over here, instead of x, I'm just writing x minus 6. That is the g of x value. And then the square as it is, plus 2. Only which are colored in dark brown. Over here, whichever is colored in brown, you can see is changed. And then now we need to simplify. I hope you remember this identity, which you have to remember for the writing part as well, I believe. It is x minus a. It's generally given as a minus b and a plus b, the whole square. If it is minus, it becomes a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Whereas if it is plus, it will just be plus over here. That is the only thing. Then all you need to do is use the identity and simplify over here. It'll be x squared minus 12x plus 36 plus 2. That is, why? Because a squared is x squared, minus 2 is a constant. 2 multiplied by 6 is 12, and multiplied by x, it'll be minus 12x. Plus 6 squared is 36, and add 2 to it. This is your final answer. That's it. So this is how we find the function. Now, okay, I just realized the domain and ranges are not written, but anyways, that is how you solve it. Over here again, g of x, how do you solve? Over here, they're all real numbers, so you do not need to write the domain and range. Look over here, guys. What are these functions? These are all polynomial functions. What is the domain? Domain is all real numbers. Okay, the range varies over here. Range is all values which are greater than 0. So now let's see the g of x function. Here you got g of f of x. Now only thing is, you need to put this inside. It's the other way around. You need to put f of x value inside g of x. Instead of x, you need to substitute this value. Look over here. G of x value is x minus 6. Now all you're doing is, since x is f of x, you have to put x squared plus 2. This changes to x squared, and this minus 6 as it is, only the colored part changes. This all is for understanding. You don't even need to do this, because only you select the correct answer. Just jump over here, see over here. And now what else? All you need to do is substitute, simplify this. X squared plus 2. See, there is no whole square, no bracket square or anything, so it is just x squared plus 2 minus 6. It'll be minus 4. That is the answer. Now that is that's it. That's how we do it. And now we will see these problems quickly over here. Same way, after you compose, what is going to happen? Now this is just polynomials. There is no square or anything. It's going to be all real numbers and all real numbers. No problem at all. Domain and range. Why? Because the power is just x. So it doesn't matter. And over here, for the f of x, you're getting an answer. So that is the most important thing. Now over here, the domains are all real number. What about this? Same thing. You need to do the composition. That is, you need to put this inside x, sorry, g of x value inside of x and then simplify. That will be basically, see, if I'm just doing it directly now, instead of x, I put this minus x plus 8. What's going to happen? Plus 3x minus 24. Is it? Yes, that's the answer. Now, if it is the other way around, what do we do? It is just that instead of this x, you put minus 3x plus 8. It should be 3x plus 8. Is that the correct answer? Yes, that's the correct answer. And it's all linear function, so it's all real numbers. Now, over here, what you must do is find the range. Over here, we have quadratic, sorry. So how do we find the range? You should know the basics of parabola in this case. Okay, it's not direct. You can't directly tell the range. You need to solve for it. We will see that. You need to know graphing, or there are other methods as well. I'll tell you now. So there are a few methods like looking in the option and finding it out and everything. But what if the answer is same, but the range values differ? Now, first, let's go to the domain values. You can take this as a, like a trick. Domain almost always will be all real numbers. Why? Because you are generally given x square or x. You don't get root and all. If you get square root or something, then domain varies. Now, see what was the input value. Here, f of g of x. G of x was the first function. So this is the domain. The domain over here, it's a linear function, so it's all real numbers. So that's why it's not mentioned. But what is the range? Range is basically this answer what we get. In the previous, at the beginning of the video, when we did the table, you remember the input value starting, we took it as domain x values, and the final answers what we got range was the y value. So now this is the final one, right? Now we need to find range. But we can't use calculator directly because that doesn't help us, because range is what? Now this is positive, so it's opening upwards. From where exactly this point starts? That is what we need to find. How do we find that? Now we need to find the vertex. How can we find vertex of this? So vertex is basically given by the formula negative b by 2a. You must have remembered, you have done this before, I'm not sure. No, you have done it, I remember, but which term I don't know. So this was when you learned about parabolas, this quadratic. Even in this term we had just briefly gone through in one of the small section. So you must remember this. Minus b by 2a is the formula. Now what do you do is substitute the a. This is ax squared, b and c. So substitute the values. It is negative times minus 6, negative times negative 6 divided by 2 times a is 1. So you need to solve this up. So what is the answer? When you solve this, you will get, it is minus times, it'll be minus times minus 6, that's plus 6, divided by 2 into 1. Now here you got 3, but that is not the answer. That is the x value. So this point, x value is 3. But we need range. Range is y value. So all you need to do is substitute whatever you get from here into this equation. Now I will just substitute 3 square minus 6 into 3 minus 2. And now what is the answer? Negative 11. So the range, this y value is at minus 11. And whether it's going up or down is determined from this value. It is positive x squared, so it is upwards. So the range is greater than or equal to negative 11. That is it. Same thing over here. Let's quickly do the next one as well. How do you do over here? All you need to do is, I'll do it directly in the calculator. The composition of function, I hope you're thorough with it. You have to just substitute the values and then simplify it. Then here put minus, sorry, b value is 6 divided by 2 into 1. The value will be negative 3. Now you need to substitute minus 3 everywhere over here. So it's minus 3 the whole square plus 6 into minus 3 minus 8. The answer is negative 17. Now, since this x value is positive, the parabola is opening upwards. And from the vertex, we get the x value. That formula for vertex minus b by 2a is to find the x value of vertex. And then you have to find the y value by substituting it. That's it. Same thing can be done everywhere. You can try this by yourself. Just it is the same formula minus b, sorry, it is minus b, that is 44 divided by 2 times 32. This is the x value. Now you need to substitute this back in this equation. So what I'm going to do is I'll consider that as answer because that is saved, right? I'm just using it as answer plus 44 into, or else you can write it down and type it out, negative 11 by 18 or something, plus 16. The answer is 7 by 8 or 0.875. Now, since it's positive 32, it'll go upwards. That's how you can easily solve these problems. Sorry. Now, I had solved two problems where I did not do the domain and range. You can do this by yourself. I'll just quickly tell you for this f of x is the composition. So look at f of x. It's all real numbers. Quadratic function domain is all real numbers. So basically the domain is all real numbers. But what about the range? The range over here changes. What is the final answer? This is the final answer. So x squared is very simple. It's like this. Now, since it's minus 4, that means this vertex is down to negative 4. So it is opening like this, minus 4. I don't need to do all that vertex method. I can do the vertex method. I'm going to get the same answer. The vertex over here is minus b by 2a. The answer will be 0. And when you substitute 0 instead of x, you'll get minus 4. So directly you can find greater than or equal to negative 4. So this is how we find the domain. But most of the time when you solve this, when you get this answer, when you get these answers of the composition, you can mostly find the answers. Now over here, since it was all linear, see, all the answers are also in linear, it's all real numbers. You don't have to solve for anything. Only when it's quadratic, the range varies, because a quadratic function natural range, when it's x squared only, is greater than or equal to 0. The y values, x value is all real numbers. That's the reason. I hope this is clear. So please do practice more. This is not so easy. You need to practice more and more problems, and try to watch this video again if you're getting confused. I hope this is clear. But one more thing, when you solve this answer, you will eliminate most of the options and then just try to find out which is the correct answer, and look at the range. If sometimes this answer will have only one range, so you can directly get, or this might be the only answer. It depends. But even the range method is told. So please remember that if at all the ranges are same, the answers are same and range is different, then you need to do that method. So that's the end of this topic number 16. Moving on to the topic number 17. Here we find the inverse of the functions. So now over here you can see f of x is a function given as 4x squared, and they have given one more function g of x as half root x. They are asking us to know whether this is inverse or no. First of all, here there is no domain or nothing, but there is domain restrictions as well in the next part. So in the same topic, so there are two types of problems basically. If the question is just like this, write yes or no, it is very, very simple. All you need to do is find the inverse. And you do not need to find the inverse for both, it's just for one. And I'm sure by now you have found inverse many times and you're thorough with it. But anyways, let's look into the steps. First is, instead of the function f of x, write y. F of x means it's the function of x. So that is equal to y So instead of f of x, we write y equals 4x squared. Now the next thing over here is to swap x and y. What do you do over here is change this x to y and y to x and x to y. Look over here. All I have done, instead of y, I have written x, and instead of x, I have written y. We are swapping the x and y. Now over here, the domain is also swapped basically. So anyways, that we will, the domain and range will come about in the next type in the same topic. But here, see, this happens here. And then you need to solve for the new y, that is this y. All you're doing is take the 4 to the other side and simplify, take square root on both the sides so that y squared, the square root cancels. See, square root over here and over here, this cancels. What's going to happen over here? Look, if it is root 1 by 4, basically 4 is written as 2 square, right? It can be written as 2 square, and if there is a square, it can be cancelled. And this is 1 square is the same thing. So you can just write it as 1 by 2. Okay, 1 by 4 will become 1 by 2. And this root x remains as it is. If you're getting much confused, you can just use the calculator over here. So now in the calculator, sorry, okay, all you need to do is type it out, square root, use the fraction symbol 1 by 4. The answer is half, or 0.5. That's it, very straightforward, but it's still not over because y, what does this y mean? This is the inverse function. It's not y, replace it by f inverse, and that's it. That is the answer. And now verify this and this. Is it the same? Yes, if it is same, the answer is yes. They are same or equal. That means they are inverse function. Yes is your answer over here. Now, if you are just thinking, what if I take the inverse of this? Will I get 4x squared? Absolutely, you should get x squared. It's up to you. You can choose this or this. I've not done that, but I'll just do it over here by writing. Now, you have half root x, which I'll take it as y. And now, all you need to do is swap x and y. So this becomes x equals half root y. And now solve for y, take 2 to the other side, becomes 2x equals root y square on both the sides. It'll be y square, y only, square root and square cancels. You will have 4x square equals y over here. This is the answer. Look over here. Yes, absolutely. This is basically 4x square is g inverse, because I've taken g of x, right? G inverse of x, okay? Now, 4x squared. Here the function f of x is same thing. So they are inverse. But in the exam, don't go to do both of these. Just do one. It is more than enough because only one will prove it, yes or no. So that's the thing. Now here similarly, please do these others and we will... Okay, no. Wait, let me just check. Yeah, this is no. You can understand no because, see 1 by 3 becomes 3 and squared becomes a root, and this over here changes, but you can understand few of the parts at least. Now here 4 becomes 1 by 2 because of the square, this becomes rooted and goes down, and over here this becomes square root. If it was square root, it becomes square. Now if it's x cube, it becomes cube root. And this over here shouldn't have been 2 by 3 because it goes to the other side. It should be 3 by 2. Since I saw it's 2 by 3, I'm just telling it's no. Let's anyways check this. I will take the function f of x, 2 by 3x squared. All you need to do is take this to the other side, swap first. X is equal to 2/3 of y squared. Take 3 to the other side, goes up, and divided by 2 because this goes down. Or you have to multiply 3 by 2 both the sides. This becomes 1. Now then, equals, sorry, it is cube. I have written wrong over here. It is cube. So power 3 dimensions. So we call it cube. Now take the cube root on both the sides. This is the answer. Okay, this is the answer. Is it the same? No, here it is 2 by 3 x. Over here it's 3 by 2. So this is no. The answer should be no. Let's just check. The answer is no. So that is how we do it. Very simple. All you need to do is simplify. Now here you can see it'll be square root, and over here it'll be square, but it's not Correct, because when you solve it, you will get some little error, So make sure you solve it by yourself. All these problems, please do solve it by yourself, and then check for the answers. If you get the same answer, if you take anything, even you can take g of x, you must get this. If you don't get this, it's wrong. Here, g of x or f of x can be taken. It's easier to take f of x. Why? Take square root, this cancels, and then it's easier. So please solve them all by yourself and then check. But this is the easy part. But we are not over now. Oh, I'm sorry for the animation. I just realized this. Now, what we need to do is find the domain of function f of x, f inverse of x, and we need to find the inverse function as well. So many things. First, let us find the inverse. Just now what we did, x squared plus 5, here take this as y equals x squared plus 5, then swap the x and y. Instead of y you write x, and instead of x you write y, so it's y squared plus 5. And then what happens is, take this 5 to the other side, x minus 5 equals y squared. And then take the square root on both the sides, that becomes y equals square root x minus 5. And what is this y? That is the inverse function, f inverse of x, square root x minus 5. This is the inverse. Okay. But what about the domain and range? Do I need to find the domain for this or this? Now they have asked only the domain, so it's simple. The given function you need to understand thoroughly and write the domain and range for this. What is the given function? Here the given function is a parabola, and since it's plus 5, this point is 5. The domain for parabola is always all real numbers. Okay, all real numbers. That is greater than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 0. I'll tell you why it's written like this in a while. But domain, it's simple. If it's parabola, it's very easy. Or if it's a linear function, cubic, always it's all real numbers. But what about the range? Now this range is the important part. Here, since you know it's plus 5, it's all the values greater than or equal to 5. Okay, so if it is just added, anything is added or subtracted, you must make sure that you understand this. Since this is a simple one, if it was something like x squared plus 2x minus 5, we have found similar problems in the last video. Please go back over there. I have told how to find this. You need to find the vertex form minus b by 2a. You'll get the x value, substitute it, and then you'll get the y value. And depending on the sign, it'll be either greater than or less than. This is if you get functions like this. Most of the time, it's like you will not get such functions, because you can see they're all simple problems. So it's easy to find the range and domain. Now, coming back to the range. Here, just see whether it's plus 5 or minus 5. If it is plus 5, 5 is required over here. And where does, sorry, it's range, right? It is y over here. What happens? Is it greater than or equal to? Since x squared is positive, it's upwards. It's opening upwards, the graph. If it was downwards, negative, then it would be less than or equal to. That's the only thing. Now, I hope this is clear. Domain is all real numbers, and range is y greater than or equal to 5. They have asked domain of only domain f of x. What is it? All real numbers. Okay. What is the range? Sorry, what is the domain of the inverse function? The range of the given function which you solve is the domain for the other inverse function. You can find the domain. See, you can solve this and find it over here. But you do not need to do that. Why? Because the range of this particular function is itself the inverse function. Now, why it is split like this? Because now imagine you have a square root function. Sorry. Square root function like this. Or if you have a parabola also, it's fine. The inverse is basically, this inverse will be a parabola, right? Why? Square root x inverse is x squared. It goes something like this. But really, you're just focusing on this particular part. Okay, this should start somewhere over here, actually. Now it's much better, or else it'll be touching. That's why. Now you're dealing with, inverses along x is equal to y line. So this part is the only part that you're focusing. So it'll be from 0 and greater than. So we usually split it. what is happening in the left side and what is happening in the right side. It's basically all real numbers, yes, but you write it like this because it's more convenient to understand. Because I'll tell you why in a while. In some type of problems, it's very crucial like that, especially the square root problems. In this problem, it doesn't matter, okay? Now, I'll repeat most important thing which you must remember over here. Keep it in mind, whatever is the given function f of x that is given to you, find the domain and find its range. And then what you do is, all you need to do is, this whatever range, it'll come as y is greater than or equal to phi, right? Don't write y, that is the domain for the inverse function. Domain for that will be, whenever you write domain, it's x is greater than or equal to phi. That is what. So whatever is the range of the given function will be the domain for the inverse function. This you must remember. Now here, these are same like what we had done. So this is simple. If it's parabola, you can easily get it. Since over here it's starting from 0, so it's like this, right? 3x squared, just the shape of this will change. Now over here, the square root function, if you solve, will be 1 by 3 square root x, I believe, something like this. Now it'll be something over here. So the domain and range is very simple, whatever we just now did. But over here in these square root functions, it little changes. I'll quickly find the inverse square root of x. That will be uh, x plus x square root. This changes to x is equal to square root y plus 6, and you square on both the sides, it becomes x, and this comes over here, minus 6 is equal to y. So this is the actual inverse function. Now don't think the domain for this function is all real numbers, it's a parabola. No, it will be wrong if you take like this. In these cases it's fine, because over here square root function, you're finding the domain later on. Here it is not possible. Here you must be careful. You must first write the domain and range of this function. What is the domain? Domain over here is square root. So whatever is greater than that plus 6, whatever is inside must be greater than or equal to 0. Whatever is inside this. So x will be greater than or equal to minus 6. That's it. Okay. What is the range? Range is the y value. Square root function. Remember, it is only greater than or equal to 0. So the range over here is y is greater than or equal to 0. Now look at the answers. What is happening? This one, yes, it's clear. It's greater than or equal to minus 6. And the domain for the inverse function, look, the range is changed. Instead of y, we put x greater than or equal to 0. So please remember this. Whatever is given, find its domain, find its range. Even in the last video, we have talked about this. Find the domain and range. Whatever is the range will become the domain for the inverse function. Now, if you're thinking why all that, now I'm just sticking to the exam topic and I've not gone in detail. I can do another video to explain exactly why it happens. Because when you're swapping x and y in the finding inverse, that is why, you need to understand, it's whatever is the range will become the domain for the inverse function. Because there is a step where you swap x and y, right? It's swapped. So the inverse functions, sorry, I removed that. So the inverse functions range is basically the, domain is basically the range of f of x. So that is it. Please go back, try to recall this video if you're getting confused, and then you can easily solve this type of problem. Solve it by yourself and then check for the answers. We move on to the next topic, that is the 18th topic. It is about graphing inequalities. Now this is about square root functions. As you can see over here, we have equations like this. Y is less than root of x minus 5. Y is greater than root of x plus 6, and different functions. I will tell you the shortcut method in detail. You might have already learned it in classes. There is various ways: table method, equation method, very basic. Equal to, you can do the table and calculator, solve it and everything. But now I will tell you a method how you can easily find the graphing. Because table method, all those take a lot of time. They're not difficult, they're simple, but these tricks of graphing will be helpful to you all the time. Not only this grade, next grade, MSAT exam, all the time. So that's why answer is this. How? First of all, you need to understand what is this dotted line and what is basically a straight line. Whenever you have the inequality like this, less than, greater than, you will have a dotted line like this, dotted lines. Whenever it's less, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, it will be a straight line, solid line. That's what we call it. Now I'll just show you over here. See, we have greater than or equal to, it's all solid. Okay. Now then, what else? Now, since over here there is greater than or less than, it will be a whole. It won't be a point. So you can see this circle. The reason being, if I tell x is greater than phi, the value phi is not included. You can see this phi is not included. So it's a whole basically. You can see the hollow space because you're not including phi. Whereas if it's greater than or equal to, it's a point because that value is included. Say x is over here minus 3 point is included. So that is the thing. So much of basic things. Now, what is the domain of this value? How do you find where is the x value? So y is less than root of x minus phi. Find the x, just whatever is inside the root. X minus phi equals 0. So x is equal to phi. Okay, so it starts at phi. That's good. You know that. Now, other things. That is the domain. That means all the x values are less than phi. Sorry, greater than phi. I will tell you what is greater than phi, but now you understood x is equal to phi, so it will start at phi. It'll be the right side or left side, but it must start over here. This is very important. Now let's just look over here. X will be equal to negative 6. So you can see the point will be over here. Now what about the other things? Here it is downwards. I will tell you it's very simple because it's minus sign. But how do you get this? Whatever is inside this must be equated equal to minus 3. That's why it's minus 3. And over here you might have guessed it by now. It will be plus 6. So it's like that. So you can easily find out, looking at your equations, you can easily eliminate so many options, isn't it? Now, what is this? We're dealing with square root functions. It's graphing square root function. By now, you must know if we have y equals root of x, it will always start from this function. If it is minus, it will go downwards. That is it. Now, knowing so much will make a lot of difference because now you do not need to know that because all are square root functions. It's very basic. And there's one more important thing. That is graphing which side is the inequality, down or up. This is very important. Take a guess. Y is less than and y is greater than. What is the difference? Always in general for math, whenever we tell less than symbol, it is downwards. Always. You can try this. Whenever you have less than symbol, it's downwards. Greater than, y is greater than, it will be upwards. That's the only thing. So now from whatever I just now told, you can easily understand. Now here, what is the x value? Here, x value will be equal to phi, and we know square root function is always going more than. It'll always go like this. Okay, so you must remember it'll always start and go like this, but it's only less than, so it'll be dotted line going upwards. Then we know it is less than, so all the region below it, not left, not up, only downside of x is from x phi onwards. At phi you draw this, it should be dotted. Here it's greater than, so all the value above it is shaded. So you can easily find the correct answer. Now let's see the next type over here. How would you see? It's again same. See, you don't need to worry about these values beside it, that 4 and everything. It'll just decrease the thickness, or the way it is, the thickness basically. It's not thickness. It's basically, you know, uh, I'm not able to get the exact word. Anyways, basically what I'm trying to say is, now imagine this is a square root function over here. This number just changes the, yeah, like the positioning, it'll be the down, it'll make it thinner or thicker. That's basically it, and you do not need to worry about it. If you find all the other things, you will directly get the answer. So now over here again, from this point, this is a whole, not a whole, it is a point. Why? Because it is greater than or equal to. In greater than or equal to, only the point of graphs which is greater upside will be answer. It's less than, it will be downwards. That is easy. Then here it is a solid line. Why? Because it's greater than equal or less than or equal. It's always solid line. Where does the x value start? Just equate this to 0 and you will get the starting point. This is more than enough. Now, other times I was always telling for graphing, just take any x value and check the answer. It must be the same. Yes, you can do that. Obviously over here you need the calculator, and once you have the calculator, take x value. I will take, say for example, 4. Instead of x, I need to put 4 over here. Square root 4 plus 3. The answer is negative 10.8. Let's check. Yes, negative 10.58. Yes, absolutely, that is correct. But why you won't get the correct answer, I mean, you need to know the other information, is because you don't know where it is shaded. The shaded is given from here. So this is it. Or there are other methods like testing a value. You need to choose a random point in the solution region, put it in the equation, both the sides, x and y, and it must be correct. And if it is correct, yes, that is true. Otherwise, it's false. There are plenty of methods, but which I told you just now is much easy. And the reason for me to tell that specific thing is this will be very helpful in the coming grades as well. So this is a very important way. So you can easily sort out any sort of graph. Whatever I just now told is standardized for all the graphs. Okay, but now you're dealing only with square root, so it's very easy. All the graphs will be like this. You should know the basic drawing of the graph, and then see where it is greater than or less than. It'll be either up or down. See whether it's this equal to sign is there, or it is only greater than or equal to. It'll be dotted and whole, or otherwise it'll be solid and a point. And then you can see the x value from this, whatever is inside square root. Remember, for the x value, where it starts over here as well, it is always whatever is inside. Now, okay, there is minus over here. I will tell you about that as well, which I just realized. Okay, this is the last two. So now here, what is inside the square root will give you the x value. It will be x is equal to 2. Is it correct? Yes, absolutely. It's greater than, it's shaded upwards. Okay, this is the solution region. Fine, because it's greater than or equal to, it's a solid line and a point. But what is this minus 12? Whatever is there adding or subtracting, if it is plus 5 or minus 5, your y-axis changes. Now, since it is minus 5 over here, this does not start on the axis. It will be moving downwards. By how many units? 5 units. This is 5. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's negative 5. Here it will be negative 12. Yes, it's correct. If it was plus 12, then it would be upwards like this at plus 12. That is the y-axis part. Now you can see over here, there is nothing. So it's plus 0 or minus 0. So it's always on the axis, isn't it? So you can compare everywhere over here. It's on the axis of x because y value is 0. Only when there is an extra term like this, you need to compare this. So if there is extra term, it's really easy for you because you can easily cancel out the other options. So this is how we do for this last part. Now that's all the graphs. I hope these tricks are useful because though I've told it many, elaborated it, only few points are required. I'll repeat it now quickly. The symbol, whatever is inside the square root, if anything is added or subtracted. From the symbol, you will see the line and the point, how it is. And from the symbol also, the solution region will be demarked. That's it. So this is how you can solve the graphing. In the next topic, we will move to the 19th question. The 19th topic is an interesting topic where we have radicals. Now, the most important thing is reading this question. See, divide and simplify radical expression. It's very simple to do that. But by rationalizing the denominator, this is very important. What does rationalizing the denominator mean? Whenever you see this sentence, that means the denominator, anything that is down, needs to be a whole number. It can be like, say, 5, or if it's terms of x, x power 3, 2, anything. But you cannot have radical in the denominator. You can't have like this. Is that clear? Or like this. So this is what it means. You need to rationalize the denominator. Now there are plenty types. I'll just quickly go to the questions and then I'll come back and solve these. See over here, Now you can see that these are the questions. Here there is variables. Now this is the method. This is you need to know what's the method exactly. But for this, there is a shortcut method. The method is very simple. You should multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. That is, you need to multiply root 3 plus root 2 divided by root 3 plus root 2. Use the properties a square minus b square and solve it. That's how we do it. But since it's all numbers, see, all these are all numbers, I will tell you a shortcut method in calculator. So whatever I'm teaching now is if the variables come. Okay, so this variable part needs to be solved like this. Now we will go back over here and start solving it. You need to use basic properties and get to the lowest form, but remember rationalizing denominator, right? So now, first of all, try to split this cube root thing over here and over here. It's the same thing. Okay, we can write it the whole over here. We are now simplifying. That's why let's simplify this up and down separately. In the calculator, if you put this cube root of 125, you're going to get 5. You can directly write 5. Otherwise, you can write 5 cube and this cube root and cube cancels off. What about 24? Now this you won't get it directly. Now if you use your calculator, shift and this symbol gives you cube root directly. Or you can use shift and this over here. You are put the number root as it is, like whichever root is there, the number, and then press 24. You're gonna get a rational. So this is a problem. You can't directly do this. How you need to do is see which is the nearest number which you can write it as cube root. Obviously, since this is a small number, 2 is the most appropriate one. Now 2 to the power 3 you can get is 8. Whereas if you go to 3 to the power 3, it's over 24. It's 27. So you need to write this in terms of 2 to the power 3 into something. This 2 to the power 3 is 8. So what is that something? That is obviously 8 3 is that 24. So you write this. So you basically find the factors of 24 from this number. So 2 to the power 3 is because you need to start from 1. 1 obviously is 1, so it doesn't help. Okay, start with 2. 2 to the power 3 is 8. Whereas if you go to 3 to the power 3, it's more than this. So no, this is the only. So it's much easier. 2 to the power 3 is 8. How much is remaining? 24 by 8 is 3. That is the factors over here we get. And then what about this? Now basically this radical a power 6 can be split as, you don't need to, just remove this off. It is 6 divided by 3, that is a power 2. So you can write it directly, it's up to you. This is the technical way, but you can write it directly, it's no problem at all. Now you will be reducing this by factoring into cubes. You're reducing this over here. No, I'll just directly write the next one over here. See, 2 is gone. Why? Because this and this gone, so 2 is out. And this also cancels and a square is out. What is remaining in the cube root is only 3. And look over here, we are not bothered about the numerator. We are more focused on the denominator. This is already solved, it's 5. So this is the simplified form. You need to simplify the numerator as much as possible, but this denominator, you can't leave it like this. See, for example, this, no, it will be wrong. You should have a whole number. And don't worry, the problems will be such that you can reduce it. Or if not, there are methods. Now, for example, over here, directly use the shift 4 and just check the numbers 2 5 6. Oh sorry, this is 4 over here, and then we get 2 5 6. It is 4. Now over here this is done. What about z to the power 4? Z to the power 4, and it is radical 4, so it will be divided by 4. It's z. So denominator is almost done. It's 4 by z, just looking at the problem. Now is it rationalized? Yes, it's all numbers. That's fine. See, now the final answer will be only that. See, the denominator, it's over. But what about the numerators now? You got 4 over here. Now what about this 80? This is a bit. Now you can just put this as 80 and try. Are you getting the answer? No. So now let's try 2 to the power 4. It is 16. Now, how many times 16 is 80? What you can do is 80 divided by 16 will give you the answer. It's 5. So you need to split this 80 in terms of 2 to the power 4, that is 16 into 5. And then why you need to write this, I will come. Okay, we can just write it like this. This is the best thing. Now, but there's a better way to write it. Over here, everything, sorry, this I've removed. So I can't write this if I'm writing the power 4. So this is what is happening. Okay, after you split the top and the denominator, the upper part will be simplified as 2 to the power 4 and 5. But what about this remaining thing? Now, if you look carefully, look over here. If you split, what they are doing is they're writing this as 3 times 4 and y2. Why is that? If you look carefully, you don't have 14 divided by 4 will be a decimal. No, you can't use this. So what you do is, what is the nearest whole number for if you divide by 4? It is 12. 12 by 4 is 3. Okay. How much is more? 2 is more. So what you're doing is basically you're splitting that y to the power 14 as y to the power 12 and y squared. This is what we are doing. Now look, if you divide this by 4, this will be 3, and over here this will be power 2. I mean, you can write it as like this. That's fine. So this is what happens, or it'll be basically 2 by 4, it is half. So it'll be square root. So this is why we are doing that. Now, over here, everything can be split out. Here, this will cancel 2 to the power 4 and radical 4. This will remain as it is. Now here, this cancels. You will get y to the power 3, and this will be like this. You can split that into root, direct root. But since you have phi and y square, you don't write it. Okay, you can write it like this. It depends on the option. Sometimes there might be like this as well, only square root. It depends on the options. Okay, anything is correct. Now the most important thing is this magnitude symbol. I'm sure everyone have noticed this. Why is this there? Try to pause the video and think about it for a while, and then you can listen to why it is. Now, can there be a negative answer when it is even power? Say for example, I have even radical like this. You can start from 2. Can I have any negative answer? It's error. But look over here. Is it possible for odd? Yes. But now let me go to even. Is it possible? No. If I go to any even number, say 12, it's odd. Error. Only for odd number there is. So now what happened is, you solved this, you simplified this, which was an even root. Can you see this was an even root? You removed the root. The answer over here you're getting is y to the power 3 when you're removing it outside the root. But look over here. Initially this was inside. Remember, y to the power 3 can be negative. See, if I take minus 5 to the power 3. Imagine this minus 5. It is negative 125. This would not make sense. Why? Because just a while ago it was inside the radical of even. And now, if you take y as minus 125, it wouldn't make sense, right? It cannot be negative. So that is why we are denoting this two sign. Magnitude. What does magnitude do? Magnitude would change any negative sign to positive. This is why we denote it. We are just telling this, yes, when we removed it out, it became cube. But note that that cannot be a negative sign. We cannot have a negative sign because it was inside a even radical. That is why we added. Now let's look into the answers. It's easy to figure out. Now sadly over here, see this one. It's having power 4. Whenever you solve this, over here, look, this can be simplified. We have to rationalize the denominator, right? Basically, I will solve one of the problem, how to solve this type. But anyways, when you simplify and bring it out, remember, you have to put this to magnitude symbol. If it is odd power, no problem at all. Okay, so this is very, very important to remember. Now, if it was odd power over here, also it's fine. This is also fine. But whenever it's even and even, and then you bring it out to odd, you have to mention it. Let me solve one of these because this is a little different. Now, here you are getting 5a to the power 5. Okay, I'm just writing the same thing. There's no point. Now, here, let's do the first step. You need to have a even power because it's square root, that is 2 over here, so you need to split this as 5a to the power 4 and a. Okay, this is the thing. And over here, what do we do? Can we keep the can we do the same thing, 12 and b? No, it is not possible because we have to rationalize this, isn't it? So basically you need to multiply b up and down. Not a whole b, it is just a square root b. That is multiply, this is 13. Let us multiply square root b upside and down over here. Why do we do this? So now when it goes inside the square root, I'll take this a to the power 4 out, it will be a squared. 5 remains, a b divided by, now b 13 and plus 1, it will be b to the power 14 square root. This can be simplified as numerator is already done, only the denominator will become b to the power 7. This is why now it is rationalized in the denominator. We are going to get whole number. You can see a square root 5ab divided b to the power 7. What basically happened in this method which I just now did? Here we are multiplying root b up and down because we cannot keep this non-rationalized. We have to get this as a whole number. That is the reason why we take it as 7. We multiply this root. Same way over here, for example, anywhere, if you cannot rationalize it, we need to multiply. See now this one as well, second one as well. We have to basically multiply root x divided by root x. So denominator will be 10x to the power 4. Numerator will be 7. Root x squared, and then you will have to simplify and you will get the answer over here. And that's it. Okay, now I forgot about one more thing. Look at the number 10. You can't there is no a proper answer for root 10, isn't it? It'll be a decimal. You can't have decimals, you should have a whole number, right? Look at root 10. What is this? It is 3.13. No, it's not possible. So you need to multiply root 10 as well. Multiply root 10 up and root 10 down. So now when you multiply this 10 into 10, or it's squared, this can be cancelled, it'll be 10, right? So what we do is multiply this root 10 inside, 70, and this x squared can be removed out. It'll be x. Wait, I'll just remove this x squared. 1 second. I'm just removing this x squared out. It'll be x divided by root of 100, and x power 4 will become x square over here outside. Now you can cancel this x with this square. This is gone, and this will be 10. So it will be root 70 by 10. Only one x remains. It's x. It should be root 70 by 10. Yes, that's the correct answer. I hope this is clear. Look, what we have to do is we have to multiply root x to this up and root 10. Why? Because this denominator needs to be rationalized. That's the reason. And then basically when we remove the x squared from the radicals, we can cancel up a numerator denominator, and this is how we get it. So very straightforward. And okay, so that is about these variables. Now we will see how to do the numbers. For the numbers, you need the calculator. Let's take the calculator over here. This is the shortcut, the conjugate method. I told you you have to multiply the denominator and everything. It's a long method. I mean, it's not that hard, but since you can do very easily in calculator, let's do this. Write this as it is over here in the calculator, and here you go, that's the answer. But there are cases where you won't get the exact answer. Most of the time this will work, but sometimes what happens is you will get your answer like this, 18.87. Then what you have to do is you will have four options, right? Compare. So imagine these are the four options. No, this is wrong. So what I'll do is I'll just put the other option here, and then 7 root 3 divided by 11, and press this S and D. My answer was 18 point something. No, this is 0.71. This is wrong. So then when you try the correct answer, only then when you put that option, press equal to and press SD, then you will get in decimal form. These both must match. So what you need to do is, once you get the answer, because there are some cases, I'm not sure where you'll get it. Let me just try this one. 3 root 7 divided by root 5 minus 1. Now, even over here, you can see there's a little bit of difference. 3 root 35 is first, plus 3 root 7. It's one and the same. But sometimes there are cases where you'll directly, when you put this, you'll directly get as a fraction. So write this out. Write this. Write it somewhere. Write at least 3 to 4 decimal points. And then put the answer. Type in the answers, all the four options. But still, it's not so lengthy as solving it. Quickly, you can put it in your calculator, all the four options, and then solve it up and match it with the decimal what you have written. So this is how we can solve them easily. So that's it. Now, whenever there is variable you cannot solve it, please do this method. You need to resolve the the denominator. So that's how we can do it. So that's it basically. Now, okay, I just realized this one over here. So I'll do this because there's number and variable. Anyways, so what you need to do is multiply the numerator and denominator with this. See, multiply, wait, let me write it over here itself, okay? So all you're doing is 3, but instead of minus, you do plus, opposite sign. If it was plus over here, then you multiply with minus. Okay, so now what happens is you're using the property over here, that is a squared minus b squared equals a plus b, a minus b. So you can see a, it's plus over here, so the opposite signs, minus and plus, b, b. So you can directly square them, or if you cannot remember the identity, it's fine. All you need to do is put it in the calculator because they're numbers, right? So all you need to do is open the bracket, 3 minus root 2, close the bracket, multiply it with, you're multiplying this with 3 plus root 2, close the bracket. Just simply solving it. The answer is 7 over here. Okay, so now what's going to happen? I'll write it over here. The denominator is 7 when you solve it. Why? Because 3a square is 3 square, that is 9, minus root 2 square will be 2. 9 minus 2 is 7 if you use the Kanun. But in calculator, same answer. Now the numerator, what is going to happen over there? You're multiplying 7 into 3. It's going to be 21x, and multiply 7x with this root 2 plus 7 root 2x. So this is what has happened now. You can see over here what is common. This 7 is common. Let me just remove this. 7 is common in the numerator. It will be 7, 3x. Basically, you can just leave this 7 as it is and just multiply x. It's the same thing. Okay. And we have root 2x. Now divided by 7. Can I cancel this? Yes, I'll cancel the 7. You're remaining with 3x root 2x. It should be plus over here in the middle. And that's it. That is your answer. Let's check the answer. 3x x root 2, or you can write root 2x. It's one and the same. So this is how you simplify it. Multiply with the numerator and the denominator by the, multiply the conjugate of this. See this, what a conjugate means, opposite sign. If it's minus, you must have plus over here. Multiply the numerator, denominator, and then simplify. But since it's numbers, you can directly put in the calculator and simplify it. So this is how we solve it. Otherwise, if it's variable, I've already told you in the previous section. So that's how we do it. So that's the end of the topic 19. We will go now to the topic 20. We move on to the last topic in part 2, that is the 20th topic. The first 20 questions are MCQs, where you will have 4 options, and the next part, part 3, is all writing. So over here, in this, since 20th topic is in part 2, I will tell you the shortcut method to do this rather than the entire method. But for this part, you need to know the solving. Now, always, whenever you have the option, just make sure when you have questions like this, put it in the calculator as it is. Phi root alpha x equals, equals 1. Shift and solve. Here the answer is 0.04. Look, the answer you will have is generally in fractions. Now what you need to do is you need to solve all the 4 options and press SD and you will get the answer 0.04. That would be the correct answer because only one option will give you the correct answer. Same way you can try any of them. Now this is a big one. I'll just do this 2 plus 3. P is the variable, but we write alpha x as the variable, plus 7 equals 6. And shift and solve, you will get the answer 3. Over here, the answer is 3. Same way you can solve the others. It's very, very simple. There is no extraneous solution in these. Even over here, it's no problem. Now, for example, if I'm doing this one, it looks complicated. 4 minus, open the bracket, 1 minus 7 alpha x, that is the variable, to the power 1. Okay, see, the thing is I have to press on. Once I shift and solve, press on. Otherwise you need to, your sometimes the format changes. Now I will type it quickly. Open the bracket, 1 minus 7 variable. I have to write x, but over here there's u as variable, to the power 1 fraction 3. What I was about to say a while ago is don't write it as 0.33. There will be change in the decimal value sometimes. I mean, like, it's not significant, but it's still, there'll be small change after many decimal points. So this is it. Press shift and solve, you'll get the answer. Sorry, what happened? Is equal to 0. 4 minus, yeah, everything is right. Shift and solve. Yes, that's the answer. Minus 9. And same way, even if it's cube root, for example, over here, all you need to do is shift and this symbol gives you cube root directly. Now look over here, press on. Now the syntax changes, the format changes to v, that is variable x, minus 7 equals minus 2. Shift and solve. The answer is negative 0.5, which is negative half. This is the way to do this. But now look at these problems. I'll pause the video. You guys pause the video and try to solve them, and then I will continue. I hope you tried by pausing the video. Let me type this as it is. Alpha x minus 15 equals 3 minus alpha x. Sorry, root of x. Okay. Shift and solve, you'll get error. Okay, you're getting an error, right? I've not typed anything wrong. Yeah, let me just put this. See, you'll get an error or it says can't solve. So make sure whenever in your calculator you might get an error. Whenever there is an error, that means it's an extraneous solution. What does this extraneous solution mean? Now, see, the solution 16 is the answer. Let's solve this. You need to square on both the sides to solve and then apply the identity a minus b the whole square on the right side. That is a square minus 2ab plus b square. Now here let's solve it. It'll be x minus 15 equals 3 square minus 2ab, that will be 6 root x plus b squared, that will be square root of x the whole square is x. Now simplify it. This cancels both the sides and then you can take this to the other side, will be 6 positive 6 root x equals, Take this to the other side. It'll be 9 plus 15. Now you will get root x equals 15 plus 9 is 24. X is they divide both the sides by 6. So what will be the answer? 6 fours are 24. Root x equals 4. What is x then? Square on both the sides. You will get 4 square. X is equal to 16. Isn't it? But we got the answer. X is 16. Simple steps. Same thing over here. If you want to solve this, take power 4 both the sides. Take this first to the other side. It'll be 5 minus 7 minus 4 the whole power 4 and everything. So now look over here. 16 we got. Let's put this answer back over here. 16. If I put 16 minus 15, 3 root, will I get same on both the sides? Let's try. The left side would be on. Now here, left side would be 16 minus 15, that is 1. Because 16 minus 15 is 1, square root of 1 is 1. Whereas in the right side, it will be 3 minus square root 16. That will be 3 minus 4. What is the answer over here? It is negative 1. So left side, I got 1 equals negative 1. Is this correct? It's wrong. It can't be negative 1. It must be 1. So whenever they do not match the answers, if you put it back, this equality or the equation is not matching or is not true, that means you have an extraneous solution. So the best way to find it out is use the calculator, solve it. And when you get a math error in the calculator or it says it cannot solve this problem, that means it's an extraneous solution problem. And then just quickly solve it up. And then you can get the answer. So this is how you solve the extraneous solution problem. Otherwise, directly in the calculator, you will get the answer. Let me do this big one. It is shift and this symbol over here. Type 6, then variable y as x in the calculator because we don't have other variables. Plus 2 plus 9 must be 14. Now shift and solve. What is the answer? 15,623. That's the correct answer. So this is how you solve it. Please do solve them all by yourself and then check the answers. There is an important thing. Whenever you solve it, do try applying in the question and then solve it. It's not always you'll get extraneous solution, only in some cases. So if in the exam you have the option of extraneous solution, just beware. So try after you solve it in the calculator. If you get the answer, that's it. Only if you do not get the answer, then you need to solve it up for the extraneous solution. So that is it. So you do not need to try all the time. Sorry, you just do it in the calculator and it will tell you whether it's extraneous or no. If there is no solution, it is extraneous solution. But if you directly get the answer, that's it. So that is basically the end of the part 2. I hope it has been useful for you guys. If you have any doubts, any suggestions or anything, please do put them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. And I wish you all the best. Happy learning. And I'll try to do the part 3 as soon as possible. All the best and happy learning.